Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here. This time reviewing on Crime Syndicate issue number 3. Now, as you know, the Crime Syndicate are an evil version of the Justice League from Earth 3, where there's an evil version of Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, and so on. Now, in the post-crisis, there was the anti-meta universe. That was a universe kind of like the Negaverse in Darkwing Duck. And pretty much the cover has Ultraman, Superwoman, Johnny Quick and that taking on evil versions of the Justice League. We see how Superwoman says, "I have lived for 1,000 years," and talks about how she bested everything, and talks about Starro, and even talks about how the Power Ring Corp took on Starro with an Earth 3 version of Hal Jordan leading them into battle, and pointing out how there were many casualties, and how Starro has now come to Earth. We see how the Crime Syndicate are fighting against it with an Earth 3 version of a villain hero saying, "Owlman, I thought you were just an urban legend. We'll take it down. We win." Didn't the Emerald Knight just kill the big one? And they point out that it must be a queen or something, and that they'll need the heavy firepower. And of course they talk about needing Emerald Knight to sort of help out. And we see how the Power Ring says, "You hear that? They think you're of use. Shows what they know. Shut the hell up, Ring." And we see how Johnny Quick tries to use his super speed and gets Atomica into the heart of the beast. We see an Earth 3 version of Luthor, who is meant to be black, saying, "Evacuate Metropolis, leave no stone unturned." And we see how Cat Grant talks about how perhaps Ultraman and Luthor can settle their differences, and it becomes clear that Ultraman has no use for Luthor, and throws him aside, which he says, "I hate that man." And of course we see how Ultraman uses kryptonite radiation as a drug boost, and says, "What the hell, man? Kryptonite radiation boosts. Knight, relax, I'm in full control." "Is this how you're in control? You should see the inside look of your face." And they talk about going full on it, destroying Starro from within. And we see how Power Ring or Emerald Knight goes in, takes it into full force. We see how Starro Man talks about everything burning from inside, and uses its tentacles to bust through the inside of it, with Emerald Knight getting thrown away, and it using its sonic cry in pain to hurt all the metas. And of course we see how Luthor points out that they need to evacuate everyone, but they have no choice on what they're going to do. We see Superwoman going full force at it, and using her lasso to tie the creature. And we see how it talks to Superwoman, who says, "Please don't. Hurting us." And talks about how it was trying to get away from the overlords of Oa, and that it just needed refuge, and saying, "You just get in the way." And it tries to be a friend, but it becomes clear Superwoman sees no use of it, and says, "But I have none to give you." And of course ends up destroying Metropolis, Luthor trying to evacuate everyone to little to no avail, with him saying, "Damn it, we need more time." We see how Luthor sees how there are other Star-Lords, and turns out there's an Earth 3 version of Aquaman, Vixen, and also one from Russia. We see how Luthor learns to his shock that more heroes have come out of the woodwork, and we see how everyone has survived the events, and we see how Luthor berates Ultraman for what happened, knowing that there were too many casualties and this had gone too far. And one thing we see Ultraman saying is, "Sure I do, Lex. That's why I saved it." And we see how the media take pictures of the crime syndicate, and in the next story, justice comes to Earth 3, which implies that Luthor is going to form his own Justice League. Now, this story is actually pretty good. It kind of implies there's going to be some repercussions after what the crime syndicate did, meaning that Luthor is going to form his own Justice League to take on the crime syndicate. And keep in mind the crime syndicate are more like mafia, thugs, and hit bosses. So this issue deserves a thumbs up. Still good, and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.